I believe some of the history is near the turn of the century, Hawaii was a pretty big supplier of coffee for the West Coast. In fact, Maui, I believe out near Kapalua, was like one of the largest farms in all of Hawaii was there. And at that time, they believed that Maui was going to be the coffee island.
Coffee's been around in Hawaii for over 100 years. I mean, anybody who hikes the valleys around here will know that there's wild coffee growing. I mean, you go to Kauai, you go into Kalalau Valley, in very remote places like that, you find coffee growing in these places, wild, and it produces.
Kona started to focus on Hawaiian coffees. As time went by, you have these small farmers that are trying to meet the demand or meet the wants of these people who are looking for coffee. They could do it because they're small and they could just, boom, all of a sudden go into the gulches or plant some coffee and they would have some coffee.
Kona stands by itself. It's just, it's an anomaly, if you will. It's high quality. There's a lot of sex appeal to it.
About in the mid-'80s when coffee prices were really coming up and sugar prices were going down, there was a focus brought on coffee. Maybe that could be a good substitute crop for it.
I guess the impetus for why we started was we were looking for a sugar substitute. I mean, there was a move out of sugar at that time, and we'd been working and looking towards diversified ag to find other ways to, get out of sugar.
I predict that the big companies will put in some coffee, but they won't put in their whole acreage that's coming out of pine or sugar, and they'll diversify into other things. And as well as that, the land that becomes available to small farmers, some of those small farmers will put in all coffee or put in small plots of coffee. And in that way, coffee, I think, can make a difference in agriculture here on Maui. And I think it can support a lot more people, a lot more family farms will develop because of crops like this.
From an agricultural standpoint, you can grow pretty much anything here.
And as the sun sets over Kaupo, it's almost always clear down south. So we get kind of the same climate as Kona, but I know places on the other side, up in Kula and stuff, do grow good coffee also.
Generally speaking, the coffee that takes a little bit longer to ripen, which is the higher elevation coffee, is a little more flavorful, a little more interesting as far as taste characteristics go. And it's because it matures slower.
You need to have water, which is also a fairly large issue. They're starting to grow coffee up in Kula and upcountry areas right now. There's some people, small farms up there, 1 acre, 2 acre people like that, and they're producing good quality coffee, but they're just breaking in, so it's impressive.
Coffee, will fit right into anybody's farm plan. And I think it's going to go the same way that the wine has gone in California. You're going to have some really good growers and some not so good, and some with 2 acres and some with 20 acres and everything in between.
When we started doing this varietal concept, we did liken it to the wine industry because we were, instead of pushing Arabica coffee, we were pushing the variety of Arabica coffee, which would say, for instance, our red Katuai variety.
Coffee, you have a harvest time, you harvest it, you process it, and you stash it. So it's something that was a new crop for us that we could actually sit on. You had to come up with enough money to pay your coffee pickers to get your crop in, but then you could sit on your coffee crop and sell it periodically during the year.
We're in a different league, but definitely there's room for other people to be into it.
Coffee is a great crop to grow organically. It's a very hardy plant. It can take too much rain and too much sun and almost too much production. Sometimes it'll kill itself with overproduction. But it's a very hardy plant, and in that way responds real well to organic farming.
We also have the ability to create here. I mean, we have research techniques in place that are going forward that maybe we're going to be coming up with some varieties that are just going to, blow the rest of the world away. I hope so, because we certainly have some interesting varieties out there on the horizon coming.
Being in the coffee business for a number of years, I've found that at one time people weren't even willing to try Maui coffee. Now they're asking for it, and some of the Maui coffees are more than $20 a pound.
Specialty coffee, well, we go to these seminars every year, and we're very involved in it. It's just got nothing but growth ahead of it.
A real important thing I feel with a small grower of coffee or someone who wants to get into growing coffee is that it's a product or a crop that you can take from the picking of the bean, processing at your own home, even roasting there. They make real small roasters, or take it to Maui coffee roasters and have it roasted, but then you can bring it back to your place and end up serving or selling a cup of coffee. And in that way, really take your crop or your product from start to finish and make as much money off it as possible, no middleman in between.
I think for the coffee industry to survive here, we as consumers have to embrace this coffee. We should support the local farmer, the small guy, and the big guy too, but the small guy, the guy that's got an acre of land and raising his coffee and selling it. He's probably got the best coffee in the world.
It's a very interesting business, I'm very happy to getting into it. I would hope that I'm going to be involved in coffee in some way the rest of my life.